Our painting. Again, we started this painting yesterday. Woo! And it's just a big old mountain. It's really nice though. I'm enjoying painting this one, and it's coming together pretty well. Let's have a little look at it here. So it's been nice, and there's a couple of things that I want to do. Really, actually, right now we've got a lot of the stuff down, and a lot of the relationships together. I want to like push and pull some of those. We want to make sure that sort of these trees stand out, but also that there's very little being said kind of about the nature of the ground over here. And so I want to just work through it. Like it's time to maybe stop thinking on quite the big scale and come back in and start putting in some really nice stuff, really nice textures. And so over here as well, it's going to be a really nice place. So essentially I'm going to leave the water as it is right now, and at least for now, and then start to work on some of this stuff here, really get the textures and the feelings down right, and then we'll come back to the water later. I think right now it's it's communicating pretty well, and so that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, I think what I want to do is come back in here and have a look around. So I've got my Pinterest board, so let's actually zoom in a little bit. And chat if any of you guys want to chat. Full of stuff from the Isle of Skye. Really, really beautiful stuff in here. And let's have a look. So what I'm really looking for right now is anywhere that kind of, resembles over here, get some ideas down. Oh, this is really nice. Just right here, it's kind of, it's all in this same, movement coming down and everything. But there's a lot of really nice stuff in there. So I'm wondering if I could, put a bit of this in here. It would be at a different angle. So these shapes that are coming through would be sort of like that. Oh, Shannon Fitzgerald, hello, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, and so actually it would be like this, but we'd kind of compress the shape. Danae's here, how you doing? Shannon says you're doing oils right. So actually right now I'm doing, let's have a look. This stuff over here, it's called Open Acrylic. So it's like acrylic, but it is slow drying. So it behaves and acts a lot like oils. So very similar. Okay. Oh, I just saw something. Pinterest moves things around all the time, and it's really annoying because I just saw something I really liked. Oh, you know what? This one's always beautiful. I love it. Okay, you can't even see that. There we go. Bam. So you know what? I'm gonna do that. That's really applicable. You could actually, if I could just Photoshop it in acrylics, you just throw it right in there. But I'm going to take away some of the contrast. Yeah, because not all of that space is in the light. So yeah, we're just going to, play around with this idea and see how much of that I could just put in. So there we go. We're going to be working up here. And we're just going to go for it. What I want to do is, I want to start ingraining some kind of textures. I do a lot of grass and green and stuff like that. What I want to do is try to learn myself how to put in, rocks and put in a lot more natural stuff that just kind of occurs in a lot of places, so that I can, without thinking, start to place this stuff into my paintings. And it is going to first require looking and learning and gaining reference, and so that's kind of really important. So that's kind of part of the process. There's the painting that I'm creating right now. There's the kind of end goal of what I want to be able to do at the end of the day without having to think, and that's gonna require going through the process of learning and stuff. So that's kind of how it always goes, right? So here we are, and let's just get to it. So what I want to do right now, we have this gradient. We kind of want to keep that gradient when it's in the light. So the light's coming from the side, and it's hitting the side of the mountain. And so it's going to be applicable for everything that's in the light. When you start to get into the shadow, though, everything in the shadow is going to kind of equally be in the shadow. So at least we're going to go with that to begin with. So let's come here. If you guys have any questions or thoughts, I would love to hear. I don't think this is going to be a long stream at the moment. It's kind of a little later in the afternoon. But here we are. I'm really happy just to get to chat and paint and hang out. Let's see. So what have you guys been up to? I did a good bit of painting. You can see this is significantly progressed since yesterday. So I managed to do a little bit of that in the morning, which is really nice. I figured I'm gonna like start my days like that. Nabs, hey Nabs, how you doing? It's good to see you. Yeah, so I figured that, you know, I've been really having trouble sort of being motivated lately, and I think a lot of that comes to has come down to a lot of the stuff that I need to do. You know, there's so much stuff in business and in art that isn't actually painting, and that's always so disappointing. No, but I was reading something that was suggesting that what I should actually do is start the day with the things that I'm proficient at and passionate about, so that kind of at the end of the day, if nothing else gets done, then hey, you know, the good stuff got done. And if I do get, you know, it takes no mental willpower to actually get that stuff done, or at least a lot less. So I end up after that with a lot more energy. And so I've tried that today, and it seems to work really well. I'm really glad that I've been trying that. Nab says, doing fine, just watching stream and doing some studies myself. Fantastic. Professor says, moral support. Let's rock. I love it. I love it. So what I want to do is try and get some of these shapes here. Here's what we got going on here shape-wise. In the reference, at least. So the whole thing basically has a slope, and anywhere that the slope is changing, it's because there are rocks in the way. I mean, that makes sense, right? And so wherever there are rocks, you have the light sort of moving around it. And so that's kind of where the highlights are going to be. And then everywhere that you have those rocks and it comes down, there's that shadow. So I'm going to use that general idea. And then you have these places, these little textures in here. You can't really see the rocks because obviously it's a much smaller scale. And yeah, but you still get the highlight and you still get the little dimple going in. So I think that's going to be the idea. Not a Renan. Looks like I missed a bunch. You did, but I kind of did it off screen. I cheated. I did it this morning. But you know, I'm just happy that I did it. But yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna kind of work on these big shapes and try and pull some logic into it. What I have done is put a lot of other colors in, even if it's just subtle. They're basically the same value, but there's more of like this tan kind of rock face stuff in here. Cubwiz, welcome, Cubwiz. It is good to see you. Oh, nice. Renan says the wood looks so good. Thank you. Yeah, I spent a lot of time this morning working on that and kind of studying through. I forget what his name is, but he is just he's magnificent. I'm just gonna bring it up because I cannot get enough of this guy. Just gonna look in here if I even still have it up. I don't, but his name is Thoro. a crazy name, Thaurow, and he basically just like painted water for a living, painted these streams, and was amazing, absolutely amazing at it. And I think what he does that I think I really enjoy that not everyone does with water is he really, everything that he does, he's tracking the flow of things, he's tracking how the water is moving, and it makes it feel really natural. And then he's really careful about the perspective, patterns in perspective, which is something that I picked up, and especially when it comes to like grass and shapes of grass, these really organic patterns that go back. But the minute that I saw it in him, in his water work, I realized this guy knows way more about it than I do, and is so good at it. So I really I have a lot to learn from him, and I'm really happy about that. Like, it's so good when you realize that somebody else is way better at you than way better than you at the thing that you do. It means that there's space. There's so much space to learn more, and that's exciting. And not only that, but like you get to study their work and see, when it comes to painting, there's nothing hidden. There's nothing hidden. Like, you can see what people are thinking and when and why. And I love that. All right, I'm kind of mindlessly putting this stuff in now. I hope I'm not destroying anything. I'm trying to go back to where my reference was. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I think, instead of working with the greens, is I'm going to work with the rock shapes. And then I can work everything else around that. So, and now I'm using that tan. I want to desaturate it significantly, so I'm using some black and some white. And some blue in there. Maybe a little red. It is very gray, so it's basically got a lot of everything in it. So you can like put everything together and mix it together, and then decide what it is that, what direction you want it to lean. Put everything together and then like lean it in a certain direction. Danae says, I think seeing what people have painted is one of your skills. I don't have it. Oh, thanks. It's I don't know. I think it's one of those things like you have to learn it, and then you have to learn to see it. And then once you learn to see it, you can see the more that you have to learn. which is great. But yeah, it's probably as hard to get over that first hump of trying to learn to see that stuff in the first place. But it does mean that if you're right and that's a thing that I can do, that's good. That means that that's something I can point out for people. That might be really interesting. I've always thought about that. If I had, there's so many things that I want to do and don't have enough time to. One of them is essentially like get my favorite artists and their favorite artists and just like nerd out over their favorite art. And look into that kind of stuff, and I think that would be fun. I always want to like listen into other people's conversations, when they're really passionate about something. It's so fun to just, even if you have no idea what it is that they're saying or what it is that really talking about, the minute someone's passionate about something, like you kind of become passionate about it in proxy. Like you never knew that you could be passionate about something, and then someone else shares how passionate about it they are, and then you're like, wow, that's really cool. Master says your paintings are amazing. Thank you. Oh, you guys can't see it. Sorry. Here we go. So what I'm kind of want to be kind of a little bit careful about here, I think it's gonna be a sort of back and forth kind of thing. Is I want to put in these colors and this contrast, but I don't want it to be too contrasty. And I think finding that level of what is and is not too contrasty is going to be an interesting challenge. But I think what I want to do is put it in, put these in here and then pull back later on. Just because I know naturally I try to go low contrast with everything all the time. I think having a little more contrast than I'm normally comfortable with and then pulling back will be a point of growth. Let's call it that. Man, I wish the colors were a little bit better on this camera. I got a new thing so I can hook up my my really good camera up to the top, but it's not in yet. All right, so what I want to do is, I'm always tempted to kind of like put things on the single plane, but I know that they all come forward. Like if there's going to be rocks here, there's probably going to be some over here, and I have put some down here, but there's probably going to be some like scattered up and around as well as up here. There we go. Get some texture in there. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, we'll put some in here as well. I'm just going to continue to try and go with this idea of doing more than I think I need and then pulling back afterwards. Just because it's the opposite of what I normally do. So you guys do much for Christmas? I know no one can really do much for Christmas at the moment, but it's worth asking. Here we go, put some of this stuff in. And so I'm going to see if there's anything. Yeah, so some of the really good things that I'm seeing here. I love this formation right here. It's like we've got the rock, and then there's these little rocks that are coming in over the top. And you can see the little highlight on top of it and coming around. But you kind of have like the little ones, and then the big shape, and then the really small shapes just on top. And so it's kind of got that natural big, medium, small kind of thing hooked into it. Whereas like, let's have a look down here. Oh, no, that was the right spot. I've basically got like 1, 2, 3 things, maybe 4 that are basically all the same shape, all the same size. So we're gonna go in and disassemble some of that. What I want to do actually is we're gonna essentially pull a lot of this stuff together. Just get it as one. There we go. So now we have 1, 2, these 2 shapes and some smaller things just around it. So let's go for that. I think that's far more compelling. All right, and then having done that, another thing that I really like about a lot of these that I had seen is that essentially all of the rock is like in the mountain, and so anytime it comes over the top, anytime it kind of like settles down, and we're not talking about something that's sort of like a cliff face, anytime it sort of goes normal, it has grass growing over the top of it, and so that's been kind of nice. Let's do that. Cubwit says, I've been kind of having a kick making art. Fantastic. Planning on making pieces inspired by holiday movies. Well, that's fun. What holiday movies do you have in mind? All right, so what I want to do with here, while I'm waiting for the answers, is we've got, I want to connect a lot of that stuff over the top. And so what I want to do is have a highlight, but I don't want it to be too contrasty. And so it kind of wants and needs to feel lighter than everything else around it, but not so much. So let's see what that actually looks like. So we're really trying to play something subtle here. Chances are we'll lose the game before we win it. So let's have a look. Yeah, I don't know we're going to succeed at this immediately. I think what we need to do, I'm going to put it down anyway, just so I'm not paralyzed by indecision or fear or not doing it. Because I think we need to develop some of the stuff behind it. Maybe. Maybe not. Cubwood says, just got finished watching Claws. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I actually watched that for the first time a couple of weeks back. It was fun. I did enjoy it. Obviously, it was really nicely designed. Like, lots of good shapes everywhere. I do love a good shape. All right, so I'm gonna come in here. I'm trying to build in some of these smaller ones into something of like a divot so that we're looking into the shadow. You know, now that we have this big gradient, we can kind of push and pull so that there's smaller movements going on. Let's see how much we can make that actually work. I'm going to do some of it up here as well. I'm kind of like taking it step by step, kind of jumping around. I kind of want to get some of these main bigger ideas in all over the place before I get sucked too much into the details. So let's go ahead and have a look. So I kind of don't like, it kind of looks like it has this big shoulder. It's just a clump of stuff. Oh, my bad. I think I might actually have to go now. Sorry, guys. That's my wife calling. That means that she probably needs me. So, sorry, really short, but I'll see you guys later.